Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Montana Volleyball Press Conference. Grizzlies coming off a 1-1 week and are tied in first place in the Big Sky Conference at 3-1. We got Coach Allison Lawrence here today. Coach, going to start there. It's always a big matchup when the rivals come to town, but the two teams tied in first right now at 3-1. Kind of what can you say about the matchup and how kind of big it feels early in the season to have a matchup like this?
Yeah, I think it always feels big just because of the rivalry. And I think what's a little bit nice and kind of removes some of the smoke and mirrors, I don't even know if that's the right reference, but move some of the fluff around this game is that the standings really don't mean anything. Yes, we're both where we are, but not everyone has even played the same amount of matches so far. So I think in terms of that stuff, it feels pretty meaningless. It's pretty early. But I think both of us have momentum, and that's fun. And it's fun to go into this match kind of feeling like both teams are fighting to remain, in some sort of lead or remain ahead. And but yeah, I think some of that stuff just doesn't also change from year to year. So yeah, they're a very new team. We're a very new team. I think the matchup will be particularly new, and they've got some pieces that are really dynamic and really physical, and we're excited to kind of get in and game plan against that this week in practice. And yeah, I think mostly we're just trying to make it not about the rivalry, but make it about what we need to do to prepare tactically to beat the team on the other side of the net and leave kind of that other stuff out in this, whatever this is, floating around us. I think that's the healthiest place to be. It's kind of just distractions. Everything else, yeah.
And Lexi Batesel got her third Player of the Week honor this year. She's the top 20, I think 21st in the country in digs, and the team is top 10 overall in the country in digs. Kind of what can you say about her performance and just the whole team in that area of your game?
Yeah, I think I'm just really proud of Lexi and really impressed by her. I think there's something so special, and I said this for the article, but I think there's something so special about a senior that plays with this mixture of gratitude of my time is running short and I want to make the most of every second, every rep, and you really feel that from her in practice. You feel that from her even just on the bus and in moments when we're just kind of getting through our day, and she's savoring it in a way that kind of only a senior can when you're in the right mentality, and you have that mixed with a desire to grow and a humility. There's no part of Lexi that's like, wow, I've arrived and I just need to coast through and I'm this and I'm not going to change type thing. And so her humility and her ability to be curious about her game and find new levels to it is such a powerful leadership moment for everybody below her too and younger than her. So when you have humility and the desire to grow mixed with gratitude, and then someone who so often and verbalizes and acts on her care for her teammates. I have seen her increase, she's always been like this, but increase just the amount of times she is saying how much she cares for her teammates to them. And I think when you have that mixture, it's a pretty special thing. And a pretty effective thing. I think that's the right mixture you want to get as good as you can be before the last ball drops. So, yeah, I'm really impressed.
Coach, just kind of your analysis of the last two games, obviously the tough one on Thursday, but then rebounding and getting the win on Saturday against an NAU team that's really good. Just what, I guess, changed? What do you think your squad's ability to bounce back after the Thursday game?
Yeah, I think Thursday was such a good lesson for us in that championship teams, which UNC is, that program has won a lot and has a staff that has won a lot. Lindsay does an amazing job. We're going to come out with whatever things against them tactically, they're going to adjust, and then we have to be able to adjust again. And so I think those counter adjustments and that relationship with our opponent throughout the match has to be better and sharper. And we would go up in sets and I don't know if you ever have a comfortable lead, but I felt like there were parts of, sets 1, 3, and 4 where I'm like, okay, I feel like we're somewhat in control for this second. And then it would sort of slip. And I think that's what great teams do, is that there is no point, the control is just an illusion, and they're going to keep pushing back and go on runs and whatnot. And so I think that was a great lesson for us to learn, especially so early. And a great lesson in our own humility of like how hard it is to finish sets and how hard it is to win. So if there was any part of us that was thinking that that would be relaxing or that we could do some work and not have to finish, kind of knocked us on our butts a little bit there, which is a good thing.
When you're looking, or I guess game planning for Montana State, and the two most recent teams that both programs saw were the same teams and both teams had success against them, does that help, I guess, the game plan? Like, I guess, how do you maybe approach it when, you're seeing how they fared against a certain opponent, how you fared against this opponent? Like, does that help much when you prepare for them this week?
Yeah, I think there are parallels there. I think most of it's just in your mind where you're like, well, that means this and that means this, and it kind of doesn't mean anything at the same time. But I think there are parallels, and I think when you have a similar strength in opponent, like you share an opponent that has similar strengths, then you can see how that breaks them down, how that breaks us down. And I think those are all things we'll be analyzing on film and really looking at, and things that, other teams had success against them with, we will potentially emulate or look at as possibilities to emulate. I'm sure they're doing the same thing of this tip, this shot, this passer in this rotation is breaking down, and we all have access to all of our analytics where we know, by rotation who's doing what, not just against last weekend's opponents, but every ball they've touched, this year and every year before that. So I think, that part's kind of fun to dig into. And then there's the piece of this rivalry that's very much like, who knows what's going to happen. I love that element of it, and also that keeps me up at night a little bit too.
Coach, you're pulling the rival in a year where you guys had a pretty big win streak and are pretty hot coming into it, and then on top of it, it's homecoming. The football team's got a fun game, the afternoon leading up to it. So just talk about the atmosphere on campus a little bit and how cool it is to get your rival at that time.
Yeah, it's always fun to be at home for homecoming and to experience all of, everybody coming into town. We have a big alumni function, and I think our relationship with our alumni, both recent and distant, I don't know if that's the right word, but that group from the 90s that won, we have such a great relationship with them. So it's fun to kind of get all of the people that are in our corner here for that match and allow them to experience UM too, as it is on display in homecoming weekend. So that's really fun. There's a little bit of, I think it's tough too, like starting at 8 p.m. isn't ideal for us. And sharing a day with football, there's lots of great advantages to that, of having our game on the same day as theirs, and there's some pieces of that that are stressful too. So I think we have to do a good job prepping, and it's the latest match we're going to play and those types of things. So it's going to require a lot in our prep, which we can handle. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
When it comes to big games, rivalry games, I think some coaches approach it as they acknowledge how big it is. Others want to downplay it. Where do you land on that?
That's a good question. I think for me, I don't think I shy away from the fact that it is big. I think this might not be our most important home game. If with the end of the season, we might not look back and say it's our most important, but I think it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, just because of the emotions swirling around it. And to me, I like to talk about it as a big game, because I think what makes it big is usually the distracting part. So I think I love rivalries. I got to play in one as a collegiate athlete that was really storied, similar to this one. And my favorite memories of college are those games, and I love that for our players. And so I have a level of gratitude for the bigness of this. But I also get frustrated, and I want to keep our team kind of on a certain path in terms of how distracting it can be to characterize the other side, to make it into, they're this type of way, so we have to be this. Like, I want to get underneath all of that. To me, that's such BS. So the BS meter of kind of all the places you can chase and all the things you can go down to just sort of distract you from what you need to do are that much more tempting. But I think it is big, and it brings bigness out of you. So I think it's both and, as most questions, most answers are. And I think there's a lot to be learned in the both and space and the line you have to walk there. And I've been proud of our group for doing that well during our time together. So I think we're in the right place to do it well this year too.
Then I think when it comes to volleyball, maybe more than other sports, there's like a kind of like a playfulness on the bench during games. You guys doing like the imaginary bike and playing duck duck goose during challenges, things like that. I guess like how would you describe like what you want the bench to be doing? And it seems like they're having a lot of fun, and just as the coach, like when they're doing that and stuff, like what does that mean for you guys and overall your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think there's some layers to that answer. I think one of them is like, I don't know, I feel protective of our players, and that like I think that's such a giving thing to do and takes a lot of energy and is such a good atmosphere builder for fans coming to our games. And it's a way to interact with the fans and with each other and with our team that builds energy and yes, make some pieces lighthearted, but also have really competitive pieces embedded underneath that. And I don't see it as that dissimilar from like, I don't know, end zone celebrations for football and things that are more scripted. And, you know, I think you see that in other sports. I think sometimes in women's sports and in volleyball in particular, it can get dismissed as like, you know, only in volleyball would this be so silly that your girls would be dancing over there. And don't they take this seriously? And I wish they would stop smiling. And why do they laugh after a mistake? And I think I really feel protective of them for that. And I think that is, speaking of BS, a lot of BS and a lot of sexism. But that's not what your question is asking. But I can get fired up. And so I want them, to the second part of your question, I want them to be expressing an investment in the moment, in being present, and a buy-in to, I'm going to win the game from where I am. And I think for them, if that is expressed as, I'm going to get so jacked when our team does well, and when there's dead time, which in volleyball there's lots of dead time, especially with our challenges that last, you know, a long time or can, that I'm going to add my energy to make this space feel like our home. I think that is winning. I think that is winning from the bench. I think that is winning for your teammates. And I think that's hyper competitive. And so I want them to be doing that. Am I scripting the like, do the bicycle now? No. Do the worm. This is the worm. Absolutely not. I think that's what makes it so cool. They're way funnier than me. They're way cooler than me. And like, I love that it's also expression of them. They decided to do that. They have a playbook that they have to pull from the side. And I think it's just such selfless leadership. And I love it. So I want it to be theirs fully too.
Thanks, everybody.
They are not
Thank you,
way
guys.
cooler than you.
They are.
They are not.